Voiceless Voice and Goti. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. 3 different decks in the top 8. That's, is that healthy or is that not healthy? I'm not really too sure on how to process this, but Fire King was your highest represented deck out of the top cut of this event. And before you're like, oh my gosh, format's over, you know, we have a tier 0 deck. I understand that we are seeing some tipping scales here, and we are going to experience some fatigue a little bit later on in this format. But the biggest things that you're seeing across the board with these regionals right now is what is stepping up to challenge the fire decks, because it has not been the same consistent challenger at every one of these events. It's been something a little bit different, and the challenger for this event was actually Voiceless Voice. This is actually one of our first turnovers that we actually saw with Voiceless Voice out here, actually kind of showcasing, hey, you know, this is an actual real competitor right now. And Voiceless Voice, you know, I understand that it's new and lows are very expensive and people needed time to, you know, get this stuff figured out and taken care of. But what you're seeing right now is, well, actually kind of an impressive little shift around with the meta as people are kind of figuring out what they want to do and what variations that they need to bring to this. And the last challenger for this top cut was actually Goti Runic. Now, am I surprised to see Goti Runic step up? Quite honestly, a little bit, actually. Goti Runic was talked about by a lot of people, but we didn't really see it kind of come to fruition. You know, I've also heard people go, you know, just play pure Goti without the White Aura cards, but we've seen the White Aura stuff actually be successful too. So, you know, you kind of pick your poison out here with this meta, and I think that's something worth talking about. So let's pass it over to deck list. Sure, you guys, well, enjoy some Voiceless Voice here. Alright, so what in the world do we have going on with the Voiceless Voice department? Diviner is the best gosh darn card that this deck could ever have for it. But I will say, most of these builds are just playing one Herald, alright? Like, you're honestly not expecting this thing to stick around for very long. I also, you know, you don't see a lot of these decks trying, you know, any, like, super real cheese with this, trying to use it, like, as something crazy. Choose just a jumping point off here to make some of your other things. Now, this build is playing double Dynamondo. Thank you. Somebody actually understands that 2 Dynamondo is really good. I saw a lot of builds that were trying 1 Dynamondo, and it does not seem like it's worth it. I feel like at that point you're just trying to, like, you know, rip out terrible extra deck space. Now, this right here, this is something you don't really see come up all that much. And my only fear about making this card right now is King Sarcophagus just rips this card straight off of the field. And it's a little bit discouraging to actually have to deal with. But, you know, Dynamondo being able to split apart, have both of your, you know, spells and the trap up and running is pretty good. Also, double Pot of Prosperity, double Talents. I think that this is fine. You have a pretty strong split in your option trees here to make sure that you can get things going. And I think that's also pretty good. Also, a quick shout out here to Thrice Harakiri. This card is the nuts with this deck. Alright, if you are trying to understand some of the more intricacies and things with what you can mess around with in this deck, this card will help you with so many plays. Also, hey, this card is also very, very good. Man, being able to just Skull Guardian Novox control your opponent with summon limit up on the field feels super, super strong. What else we got going on back here? So, now we finally jump into the world of Snake Eyes. Now, build is playing 1 copy of Circle. Honestly, Circle, I do like the card. I think it's a little bit of a cute tech choice. A lot of players have been proven to us that we don't have to play this card. You have all of these different variations and things that you can mess around with. And I almost want to say it's almost not like Snake Eyes is figured out. But I mean, your innovations with this deck are like, okay, so how many circles are we playing today? You know, how many 1-for-1s, you know, are we trying to splice? And honestly, 1 for 1 is a pretty gosh darn good tag choice. I almost want this to be the point that you want to Ash things, but Ash does not feel super impactful in this format, which is very disappointing to say. I will also tell you that Lancia is a stupid powerful card this format. If there was ever a card that you wanted to be able to derail your opponent's plans, especially in certain terrible matchups, like Lancing Flu, for example, just kind of wins you a free matchup. Like, all the Flu's getting cut off. Okay, well, go ahead and proceed to do full combo anyway. Also, Ghost Spell, you've also got a big argument if you want to main deck this or side this right now, but especially in more of your fire matchups, I feel like is where you get stronger results for this card. You know, how many mirror matches do you have to play today? Well, I mean, that answer, it really depends. What else we got going on back here? Oh boy, more fire. Hey, once again, we see Circle of the Fire Kings doing its thing. Also, do keep in mind that this build is straight playing triple tactics talent with no thrust. Honestly, thrust is not super good at the moment. I do like thrust. I think it does open up some very strong doors as to where it needs to, but for the most part, just kind of cutting things out and trying to get things into better positions is good. I also want to give a shout out to this card right here. Anti-Spell Fragrance will steal you some of the best games that you can ever actually hope to have. And having auto win buttons against your opponent in certain matchups just feels incredibly free, man. Like, I don't know, you don't want to get blown out by some huge removal swings, and this card actually helps you not lose to those, you know, hey, my opponent drew a soul release, haha, anti-scam fragrance, you know. It also is like a free win button against, you know, well, unfortunately, runic shenanigans, but that's just kind of how it is right now. I see we're also having the Droll and Lockbirds, the Ghost Spells. Once again, Ghost Spell's one of those cards that really depends on the situation for, you know, do I want to play these in the main or do we go on the side? Honestly, I think Effect Failure feels a lot better in the main right now for, you know, the tempo swinging capabilities. Okay, next up here, we have, boy oh boy, Goti Runic. Now this is kind of cute because this build is playing One Beautiful Princess. Remember, on normal or special, we can banish this special, so summon a level 4 lore fish monster from your deck. So you're telling me here that we have access to literally anything in here that we need to get the toolbox rolling. Okay. Now, we also do see the Hop Ear Squadron. We've seen Hop Ear do its thing along the way quite a lot. I'm a pretty big fan of Hop Ear Squadron just for the quick effect warp, you know. Also, stepping stones for the opponent's turn are going to be something incredibly important that you need to understand, that you do need to play. Now, you are using you're using, 17 runic spell cards to offset your opponent so you can do your thing. You're also playing 1 copy of Talents in here as well. I love the fact we're also siding 1 copy of Talents some of the time, but not all of the time, to ensure that, you know, we actually can see this card. Honestly, the fact that you're able to devastate and punish your opponent along the way for a lot of this stuff, I think is going to be some very strong things. Also, only 1 Goti of the Deep Beyond in here. And, of course, the Wide Aura Whale. Man, all the little stepping stones to board clear your opponent so you don't actually lose the game. That's what you want to see. Good stuff. And then our last list here is more good old Snake Eyes Interruptible Control. Now, there are 2 missing cards down here. Bear with it. There's not really much that we can do about that. So add in your filler where you need to. We also have Kurikara, the Divine Carnate. You know, you would maybe possibly think that Kurikara, some more people would want to play this, but the matchups that this feels really strong in don't really feel like they're super abundant right now. You know, the card does want to try to swing tempo in certain matchups, but it's a bit of a miss at certain points. Hey, look, this good card's still very strong. This build also opted for double Fire King Island with the 1 copy of the Sanctuary. We've seen some builds actually cutting the Sanctuary right now altogether and just opting to play the 1 field spell, but I guess, like, I don't know. It just feels like there's a little bit more to be desired, you know, in the lines for that. So overall, not too bad. of a very strong regional hot of fire. But once again, I feel like that's to be expected with this sort of event. So please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.